Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
Many years after her death, Diana Spencer is still famous. In 2022, when Queen Elizabeth II passed away, many people remembered Diana. Young people who were not even born when she was alive held signs for the People's Princess. People on social media showed her old clothing styles. Mental health groups talked about her honest words on sadness and eating problems. In Angola, places she visited to clear landmines are now safe areas for children to play. Even 25 years later, Diana is still very important, more than many famous people today. This is a strange thing to think about. How did a shy woman who once said she was not very smart become so important? How did she change the British royal family so much? How did someone who did not do well in school learn to use newspapers and TV so well? And how did her problems, like her eating disorder, her deep sadness, and her difficult marriage, become things that made her strong? These problems became the reasons for her lasting fame. They made people talk about mental health, famous people's lives, and powerful families in new ways. This is what we call the Diana paradox. It means that her power did not grow even though she had pain. Her power grew because of her pain. She used her weak points to become strong. She changed her hard times into a way to make a difference. By doing this, she changed how we think about being royal, being famous, and being a person in the public eye. Her story shows us what happened when old traditions met new fame. This meeting, in the end, led to a sad ending. We will learn about Diana's journey. We will see how a quiet young woman became a worldwide icon. We will explore how her deepest challenges became her biggest strengths. This story is about her life, her struggles, and her lasting mark on the world. 2. A sad childhood. Diana Frances Spencer was born on July 1, 1961, into a world that looked grand. Her family, the Spencers, was very important, part of the British aristocracy. Their history went back centuries, even connected to old kings. Diana's childhood home, Park House, was on the Queen's Sandringham estate. She and her siblings often played there, sometimes using the royal swimming pool with young princes. It seemed like a fairy tale, but this grand life hid much sadness. Her family was noble, but deeply broken inside. This childhood was not always happy. Before Diana, her parents had strongly hoped for a son. A baby boy, John, was born a year earlier, but sadly died very young. We will learn about Diana's journey. We will see how a quiet young woman became a worldwide icon. We will explore how her deepest challenges became her biggest strengths. This story is about her life, her struggles, and her lasting mark on the world. 2. A sad childhood. Diana Frances Spencer was born on July 1, 1961, into a world that looked grand. Her family, the Spencers, was very important, part of the British aristocracy. Their history went back centuries, even connected to old kings. Diana's childhood home, Park House, was on the Queen's Sandringham estate. She and her siblings often played there, sometimes using the royal swimming pool with young princes. It seemed like a fairy tale, but this grand life hid much sadness. Her family was noble but deeply broken inside. This childhood was not always happy. Before Diana, her parents had strongly hoped for a son. A baby boy, John, was born a year earlier, but sadly died very young. This loss and the failure to have a male child put huge pressure on her parents' marriage. It was already difficult, and this event made it worse. Her parents argued more, creating a tense home. Then, when Diana was only 6, she heard her mother leave. Frances Spencer, Diana's mother, walked across the gravel driveway, leaving her husband and children for another man. This sound, the crunching of stones, was a painful memory that haunted Diana. It marked the moment her childhood truly fell apart. After her mother left, a bitter and public fight began over who would care for the children. It was a terrible time for the young family, with everyone watching. This public battle was a first look at the intense media attention Diana would face later. Her father eventually won. He was helped by Diana's maternal grandmother, Lady Fermoy, who spoke against her own daughter. This felt like a huge betrayal to Diana and left lasting scars. Diana's brother, Charles, later called their childhood unhappy and very unstable. It lacked the safety children need. Diana often acted like a little mother, caring for her younger siblings through the chaos of her parents' divorce. She tried to bring them some comfort. Diana also found school very difficult. She was not a strong student and often felt she was not very intelligent. She even called herself thick as a plank later. She tried to pass her O-level examinations 2 times, but failed both. So she left boarding school at 16 without any official qualifications. This was hard and made her feel insecure. After school, she briefly went to a finishing school in Switzerland, but she only stayed 1 term, finding it unsuitable. After Switzerland, Diana returned to London. She needed a job. Her first work was as a nanny, looking after children in their homes. She enjoyed being with children and felt good at it. Later, she became an assistant at the Young England Kindergarten, a school for very young children in Pimlico. This was a quiet, humble life for a girl from an important family. She spent her days helping small children, far from palaces and royal duties. At 19, Diana Spencer seemed like an ordinary, sweet and shy young woman. She appeared conventional. There were no clear signs then that she would become the incredibly famous and revolutionary person she later became. She was simply a young woman doing a normal job in London, shaped by a childhood filled with sadness, a lack of support, and the pain of a broken home. This quiet period contrasted greatly with the extraordinary future awaiting her, a future that would change her life and the world's view of royalty. 3. The Royal Wedding. Prince Charles was 32 years old in 1980. There was great pressure on him to marry and start a family. The royal family needed him to find a wife quickly. He needed to have children to continue the royal line. The future king needed an heir. Royal rules for a bride were strict. She had to be from a noble, old family. Also, very importantly, she needed to be sexually inexperienced. In modern Britain, this kind of woman was becoming harder to find. Charles had met Diana before. He had even dated Diana's older sister, Sarah, for a short time. But that relationship did not last. After that, the royal family's attention turned to the younger Spencer girl, Lady Diana Spencer. Her background was perfect for a future queen. Their time together before marriage was very brief. Diana and Charles met only 13 times. Then Charles asked her to marry him. This happened on February 3, 1981, at Windsor Castle. Diana was just 19 years old. Charles was 31. There was a big age difference of 12 years. This difference was not just about their ages. It also showed how differently they saw life. After they got engaged, they gave an interview to the television. A reporter asked them a simple question: if they were in love. Diana quickly and happily said, "Of course." But Charles added a strange comment that many people remember. He said, "Whatever love means." This answer sounded cold and unsure to many. It was not what people expected from a man about to marry. Later, Diana said this comment made her very sad. She felt it was a warning sign about their future. But she chose to ignore it. She wanted to believe in the dream of a fairy tale. The wedding day arrived on July 29, 1981. It was a truly massive event. About 750 million people around the world watched it on TV. They saw Diana Spencer, then 20 years old, marry Charles, Prince of Wales. The wedding took place in the Grand St. Paul's Cathedral in London. The city was filled with celebrations and joy. There were 3,500 guests inside the church. An amazing 600,000 people stood on the streets of London. They wanted to see the royal couple drive by. There were also 27 huge wedding cakes to celebrate. Diana's wedding dress was very large and beautiful. It almost did not fit inside the special glass coach that took her to the church. News reporters everywhere called it the wedding of the century. They also called it the fairy tale wedding. Diana later remembered feeling deeply happy. She said, "I remember being so in love with my husband that I couldn't take my eyes off him. I just absolutely thought I was the luckiest girl in the world." But sometimes, even the most beautiful fairy tales have hidden problems. On her wedding day, Diana made a small mistake during her vows. She said Philip Charles instead of Charles Philip. She also bravely chose not to include the word obey in her vows to Charles. This was a small act of independence, even on such a big day. Another important detail was a secret. Charles wore special cufflinks that day. They had the letters G and F on them. These were the pet names, Gladys and Fred, he used for Camilla Parker Bowles. Camilla was a woman he had loved before and would continue to love. She would become a very important and difficult part of his marriage to Diana. In a way, she was already there at the wedding, an unseen guest, hinting at the troubles that were to come. This day began Diana's royal life, but it also held quiet signs of the sadness and challenges ahead. 4. A difficult marriage. Life as a princess was not a fairy tale for Diana. She had just married Prince Charles, but her new life inside the royal family was very hard. She later called it being thrown into the deep end. No one taught her how to be a royal wife. No one told her about the strict rules or how much everyone would watch her. She felt very alone in the firm, which is what people called the royal family. One writer said that people who work in a supermarket get more training than Diana got for her new job. But the biggest problem was her marriage. Diana soon learned that Charles still had a special friend, Camilla Parker Bowles. Charles and Camilla had been in love many years before. Camilla had married another man in 1973, but Charles still felt close to her. Some books say that Charles started seeing Camilla again around 1978 or 1979, even when he was looking for a wife. For Diana, finding out about this was very sad. She remembered seeing a special bracelet Charles had made for Camilla. This was just before the wedding. It had the letters G and F on it, which were pet names they used. Then, on their honeymoon, Diana heard Charles talking to Camilla on the phone. He said, "Whatever happens, I will always love you." This made Diana understand a hard truth. There were 3 people in her marriage, and she felt like the extra person. This feeling of being left out made her even sadder. Diana felt very different from Charles. He liked to read and paint and be alone sometimes. She was very emotional and wanted closeness and kindness. They were 13 years apart in age. This was not just about years. It was about how they felt and thought. Charles was like an older man, quiet and formal. Diana was still very young and needed love and comfort. Because of all this stress, Diana started to have serious mental health problems. She developed bulimia nervosa. This was a secret illness she kept for many years. Bulimia is an eating disorder. It began between 1981 and 1983. It was a sign of her unhappiness. But it also helped her feel some control over her life. She said later, "You do it to yourself because you feel bad about yourself. You think you are not important." She explained that eating a lot and then getting rid of it was like a temporary comfort. It's like having arms around you, but only for a short time. Diana also felt very sad after her sons were born. She had postpartum depression after Prince William was born in 1982 and Prince Harry in 1984. When she tried to talk to Charles about her feelings, she felt he did not listen. When she spoke to the Queen, she felt misunderstood. The royal family thought her eating disorder was the reason for her marriage problems, not a result of them. They did not see the real pain she was in. Diana later said she even tried to hurt herself. She called these acts a cry for help. She explained, "I was asking for help, but I was showing the wrong signs. People thought my bulimia was the only problem. They thought Diana was just unstable." The royal family's main goal was to look good to the public. They could not deal with someone showing weakness or pain. So Diana suffered alone. She kept smiling for the cameras, pretending everything was perfect, while inside she was falling apart. But during these difficult years, Diana was also learning. She watched how the royal family worked. She saw how they used their power. And she slowly began to understand how the media worked. The shy young woman who had stumbled over her wedding vows was beginning to see that the media, which the royal family sometimes loved and sometimes feared, could become a powerful tool for her. This period in her life was extremely hard, but it also started her journey toward becoming a stronger person. She learned about loneliness and betrayal. She learned about suffering and how people react to it. These hard lessons would later help her become the special princess the world would come to know. She was in a golden cage, but she was starting to see a way out. 5. A new kind of princess. After a difficult start to her royal life, Diana began to find her own way. She realized that the public loved her. People liked her warmth and how she seemed real. These things were not always welcome within the royal family, but for Diana, they became her strength. She started to focus on charity work. This work was a way for her to show kindness and help people. It was also a smart move. She understood that showing real feelings and being open was more powerful than old traditions. She saw that she could use her fame to help causes that were important to her. She wanted to connect with ordinary people, not just stand far away like other royals. One very important moment happened in April 1987. Diana visited a hospital in London. It was a new place for people with AIDS and AIDS. At that time, many people were scared of AIDS. They thought they could catch the virus just by touching someone. This idea was wrong. Diana decided to show the world the truth. She shook hands with an AIDS patient. She did not wear gloves. This simple act was very powerful. It was seen by many news cameras. Her action helped to stop the fear and wrong ideas about AIDS. She said, "HIV does not make people dangerous to know. You can shake their hands and give them a hug." This message changed how many people thought about the illness and those who had it. It made people more understanding. Diana continued her work for important causes. She used her position to bring attention to problems around the world. In January 1997, she went to Angola, a country in Africa. There, she walked through a field where landmines were still hidden. Landmines are bombs buried in the ground that explode when stepped on. They hurt or kill many innocent people, even after wars have ended. Diana wore special protective clothing. She walked carefully, showing the danger of these mines. Pictures of her walking in the minefield were printed in newspapers and shown on television everywhere. This brave act brought a lot of attention to the problem of landmines. Some politicians did not like her doing this. They felt it was not a royal's place to talk about such things. But Diana believed it was important. Her work helped many countries agree to stop using landmines. This agreement was signed just months after she died. Diana was learning how to use the media very well. She understood that cameras and reporters could help her share her message. She used her fame to shine a light on problems that others ignored. She did not just attend events. She became truly involved. She sat on hospital beds, hugged children, and wrote personal notes to people. She connected with those she met in a real way. This made her the people's princess. She also saw that she could use her voice to share her own story. She began to take control of her life story, not just let others tell it. This was a new and bold step for a royal. She realized that her own experiences, even the difficult ones, could help others and give her strength. This was a new kind of princess, one who was not afraid to be human and to speak up for what she believed in. Her actions slowly changed how people thought about the royal family and what a princess could do. Real power could come from kindness and from speaking honestly about important issues. Her journey from a shy woman to a strong voice for change was not easy. But through her work, she found confidence. She built her own power. She showed the world that a royal could be much more than just a figurehead. She could be a force for good. She could be a leader in helping others, touching hearts, and changing minds. This period marked a turning point for Diana. She was no longer just Prince Charles's wife. She was Diana, Princess of Wales, a person with her own mission. She used her unique position to help those in need and to challenge old ways. She proved that showing emotions and being kind could be very strong tools. She opened doors for conversations about important world issues and human suffering. This was how she became truly special in the eyes of the world. 6. The War of the Royals. Princess Diana felt trapped and unheard within her marriage. She wanted to tell her true story to the world. In 1991, she decided to do something very secret. She began working with a writer named Andrew Morton. Through a trusted friend, Dr. James Colthurst, Diana recorded many hours of tapes. On these tapes, she answered Morton's questions honestly and openly. Diana spoke about her deep unhappiness. She revealed the pain caused by Prince Charles's ongoing relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. She also talked about her own struggles with bulimia, an eating disorder, and the sad moments when she tried to hurt herself. She described feeling lonely and ignored by the royal family, facing their cold indifference. This secret work helped Andrew Morton write a book that would later shock the world. In June 1992, the book, called Diana, Her True Story, was published. It was like a bomb had exploded in the heart of the British royal family. Many big stores, like Harrods, did not want to sell the book. But people rushed to buy it, and it sold out very quickly on its first day. It became a huge success and was discussed by everyone. At first, Diana publicly said she had not helped with the book. But later, it became clear that her voice was truly in its pages, revealing her hidden pain. The book's release started a big public fight between Diana and Charles. This period became known as the War of the Waleses. Both sides tried to win public sympathy. Charles's private secretary, Richard Aylard, helped him prepare his own story. Charles worked with another writer, Jonathan Dimbleby, on a different book and a television documentary. In June 1994, Prince Charles appeared on television and admitted he had been unfaithful. He said his affair only started after his marriage to Diana had already ended and could not be fixed. Diana decided to respond in an even more powerful way. On November 20, 1995, she gave a very important interview on the BBC's Panorama program. This interview was watched by an amazing 23 million people in the United Kingdom and many more millions around the world. During the interview, Diana spoke with surprising honesty about her marriage. She famously said, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." This was a direct reference to Charles and Camilla. She also spoke about her own affair with James Hewitt. Diana talked about her long battle with bulimia and the sadness she felt after her sons were born. In a very bold move, she even questioned if Prince Charles was truly suitable to be king. She told the interviewer that she wished to be a queen of people's hearts. This interview was a huge win for Diana's public image, but for the monarchy, it was a disaster. Just a few weeks after the Panorama interview, Queen Elizabeth made a decision that had never happened before. She wrote letters to both Charles and Diana. In these letters, she told them to get a divorce. The royal fairy tale was officially finished. The divorce was finalized on August 28, 1996. Diana received about 17 million British pounds as a payment. She also got £350,000 each year for her office and staff. She no longer had the title Her Royal Highness. However, she kept the title Diana, Princess of Wales. She also kept her apartments at Kensington Palace and, very importantly, her role in her sons' lives. Diana had used the power of public opinion to challenge the royal family. She had shown that she could fight the institution using its own tools, and, in a way, she had won her freedom. 7. The Final Days. After her divorce, Diana began to search for a new life. She reduced her public work, keeping only 6 charities. These included her important campaigns against landmines and for people with AIDS. She also changed her style, with shorter hair and more modern clothes. Diana hoped to find more privacy, away from the public eye. However, privacy became impossible for her. Paparazzi photographers followed her everywhere. They rode motorcycles and chased her car, using long lenses to take pictures. Diana had once used the media to help her causes, but now she felt controlled by it. She told friends the press was ferocious and only hunts for mistakes. It was a very difficult time. In the summer of 1997, Diana started a relationship with Dodi Fayed. He was the son of Mohammed Al-Fayed, who owned Harrods and the Ritz Hotel in Paris. Diana and Dodi spent time on the Fayed family yacht. Photographers took many pictures, selling them for high prices. It is still discussed if their relationship was serious or a happy distraction. Dodi offered her a possible future away from the royal family. On August 30, 1997, Diana and Dodi were in Paris, staying at the Ritz. They dined there. After midnight on August 31st, they tried to leave through a back exit to avoid photographers. Henri Paul, the Ritz's security chief, drove a Mercedes very fast through Paris, chased by paparazzi. At about 12:23 in the morning, in the Pont de Lama tunnel, Paul lost control. The car hit a concrete pillar hard. Later, tests showed Paul had been drinking alcohol. Dodi Fayed and Henri Paul died at the scene. Diana's bodyguard, Trevor Rees-Jones, was badly injured but survived. Diana was pulled from the wreckage, alive but critically hurt. She was taken to Pitié-Salpêtrière Hospital. Doctors worked for hours, but at 4 o'clock in the morning, Diana was pronounced dead. She was 36 years old. The world's reaction was sudden and intense. Within hours, Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace were covered with flowers, toys, and notes. Millions grieved, feeling as if they had lost a friend. The outpouring of emotion was huge. However, the royal family's first response was silence. This made many people angry. Queen Elizabeth stayed at Balmoral Castle with Diana's sons, William and Harry. She believed it was her duty to protect them from the media and help them grieve privately. But the public saw her silence as cold. Newspapers asked, "Where is our queen?" and "Show us you care." The public was very upset. 8. Her lasting story. When Princess Diana died, people all over the world felt very sad. This sadness was huge and immediate. In London, outside Kensington Palace and Buckingham Palace, people left millions of flowers. They left notes and toys too. It was like they had lost a friend. They felt a strong connection to her. Many people cried openly in the streets. The royal family, however, stayed quietly at Balmoral Castle in Scotland for some days. Queen Elizabeth II was there, with Diana's sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. She wanted to protect them from the public sadness and give them time to grieve. But many people thought the Queen's silence seemed cold. Newspapers asked, "Where is our Queen?" People wanted to see the royal family share their pain. They wanted them to show they care. The public's anger grew each day. It seemed that the future of the monarchy, the royal family system, was in danger. Finally, Queen Elizabeth returned to London. She walked among the flowers outside Buckingham Palace. She spoke to the nation on television. She said Diana was an exceptional and gifted human being. The Queen spoke as a ruler and as a grandmother. She said Diana always smiled and inspired others with her kindness. Diana's funeral was on September 6. Billions of people watched it on television around the world. As her coffin passed Buckingham Palace, Queen Elizabeth bowed her head. This was a very important moment. The Queen, who people usually bowed to, showed respect to Diana. This showed that Diana was truly special, and that her death had changed things forever. Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, gave a speech at the funeral. It was a famous speech. He spoke about Diana's special charm and how much she loved her sons. But he also spoke against the royal family and the media. He promised to protect William and Harry from the same problems that had hurt their mother. Inside Westminster Abbey, people clapped for a long time. This was unusual for a royal funeral. Diana was buried on an island at her family's home, Althorp. This was to keep her grave private and safe. Many years have passed since Diana's death, but her story is still important. Her sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, continue her work. They carry on her legacy. William works to help people who do not have homes, just as Diana took him to visit shelters when he was a child. Harry works to clear landmines, following his mother's steps in Angola. He also speaks openly about AIDS awareness and mental health. William and Harry are not as close now, and this makes many people sad. But both brothers show the values Diana taught them: kindness, helping others, and not being afraid to break old royal rules to connect with people. Both have talked about their own mental health problems. They continue Diana's work to help people talk about mental health without feeling ashamed. This part of her legacy is very important, reaching beyond their family. Diana also changed what it means to be a royal person today. Before her, the royal family kept a distance from the public. They had a rule: never complain, never explain. Diana broke this rule. She touched people with AIDS, hugged crying children, and talked about her own problems like bulimia and depression. These were things that public figures, especially royals, never spoke about. Because of Diana, more people started to get help for eating disorders. When famous people today talk about their mental health, they follow the path Diana started decades ago. Her simple actions helped reduce shame and made it easier for people to ask for help. Her style in clothes is still famous, too. From her black revenge dress that she wore when Prince Charles spoke about his affair, to her casual shorts and big sweaters, Diana's fashion still inspires many. Her sons' wives, Kate Middleton and Meghan Markle, also use Diana's style in their own royal clothes. Perhaps most importantly, Diana changed the monarchy itself. The royal family she belonged to is now more open, more emotional, and more human. It is hard to imagine Queen Elizabeth in a James Bond video at the Olympics without Diana's example of breaking royal rules. It is hard to imagine William and Kate taking their children on trips overseas, or Harry speaking so openly about his mental health if Diana had not come first. Diana did not just visit poor people, she touched them. This willingness to cross the line between royal people and everyday people has become the way the modern monarchy works. Without Diana, it is hard to think the royal family would still be so important today. But Diana's story is also very sad. She created the modern way of being a celebrity, open, personal, and emotional, but also controlling her own story. However, she paid the highest price for this. The media made her the most famous woman in the world, and their constant chasing led to her death. The photographers chasing her car that night showed the worst side of our strong desire to know everything about famous people. So why does Diana still matter? Because she changed history. She showed how old institutions could meet modern fame. She showed how private pain could become public strength. The Diana paradox means that her biggest problems became her biggest strengths. The eating disorder that helped her survive became a way to help others with mental illness. Her unhappy marriage, which almost destroyed her, led to her independence. The emotional openness that the royal family saw as a fault became her superpower. Diana learned to use her pain to protect herself and to fight. By doing this, she did not just break the monarchy, she opened new ways for public figures to be. She showed what being royal could mean, and how suffering could help if it was used for good. We remember Diana not because her life was perfect, but because it was not. Not because she followed the rules, but because she broke them. She showed that even in strict systems, under great public attention, and in a difficult situation, it is possible to find power and change your own story. But her story is also a warning. It warns us about the high price of fame. It warns us about institutions that care more about old traditions than about people. It warns us about the sadness when a person's humanity is lost in their public image. Diana became an icon, but she paid for it with her life. What part of Diana's story do you think is most important for people to remember today?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.